Hello everyone, welcome to the Jenkins SIG weekly uh, team meeting. Today we are the 22 April of 2025. Around the virtual table we have myself, Damien Duportal, Stéphane Merle, Bruno Verharten, Mark Waite, and Birajit. Am I pronouncing your name properly?
Yes, sir.
Cool, thank. So welcome. Okay, let me take notes. Uh, Everyone has the link to the notes? Cool. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Biru. Code streamer. Pirate. Okay. I guess Jay and or Kevin might join us later or not. Okay, let's get started with announcements. Last week, the weekly release 2.506 was released successfully. No issue as far as I remember. Stefan and Mark, can you confirm? No packaging issue?
No issues that I have detected.
Cool.
No, indeed, it went smoothly, even the earthing to OSUSL.
Cool. So thanks for checking. So no need to worry then. This week, earlier today, the release 2.507 started on time, if I'm correct. It's currently running, and I will start a matrix thread about this after this meeting. Any question on the weekly releases or things to add? Nope. Okay. Announcement. We have a few announcement or things to discuss. Oh, let me get started with team availability now. It's easier. So reminder that I'm off this Friday and Stefan is off the whole next week. So expect some delays on some task or requests. Yep, I think that's all. I haven't forgotten anything else. Stefan, you have one day, the 7th.
Yes, I took the Wednesday 7th of May, and remind everyone that the 1st of May and the 8th of May are bank off holiday in France.
Uh, on 8th May are banking holidays for Stefan and Damien as well. Good, good point. Mark, are are there upcoming days off for you? I don't remember if the
Yeah, there's one at the end of May that I'll have to look up. Yeah, it's
Monday.
yeah,
That's a
but it's a Monday,
Monday.
right? Not a
Yep,
Tuesday. So nothing
good,
we need to note.
cool. Anything else on the availabilities? Okay, cool. So let's continue on the announcement. We received an email earlier today that DigitalOcean is performing an emergency core infrastructure maintenance today. So they started. They will start in 1 hour, and they should. So that will be up to 7 UTC. I'm calculating. So yeah, for the upcoming 7 hours more or less. We should not have any impact on archive Jenkins IO directly, because they are dealing with their core backbone network. That's a fix-up from the maintenances they did last week and the week before. However, we cannot use their APIs this afternoon or in the upcoming hours. So that means we might have issues on the Terraform project DigitalOcean, and we shouldn't be able to work on the new Puppet Master machine or on the new weekly CI machine. So we delay for tomorrow that work. Any question on this one? So we're keeping a close eye on the impact. If we see an impact on archive Jenkins IO, we will add a message on status Jenkins IO, but theoretically no impact for the Jenkins users. Any question?
None.
Okay, next major thing that require discussion or announcement. We are in the process of upgrading our Kubernetes clusters to 1.31. We have two remaining clusters. Given Stefan started that process and is off next week, I propose that we perform the update of the public cluster this Thursday. That will let us today and tomorrow to finish preparations. We haven't seen any blockers or major changes on Kubernetes. Does it look good for you, Stefan?
Yes, it is. Remember, remind people that we plan at the first step to recreate new clusters for private and public. And in fact, we will
Not
have a
for public.
new one for private, but not for public, and we will just upgrade public.
Exactly. But here it's just the impact because private has just low impact whether we upgrade it or migrate it or both. But public will have an impact because it impacts update center, it updates wiki, it updates many more others. So are there any major things happening this Thursday, or is it cool if we perform the update that day?
For me, it's
No
okay.
objection?
No
Okay,
objection.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so no objection. Let's roll. Stefan, can I let you continue with the announcement, or do you need more time?
No, it's perfect. I will
Okay,
make the announcement.
cool. Thanks. As usual, the only expected impact should be LDAP restart. That's the only user visible impact. However, sometimes we see slowness or even impact on the update center. That could happen. I cannot say it won't. So yep, we'll see we'll see, but better to let user know. I believe status is good enough, and eventually letting the developer mailing list to know. Any question on the Kubernetes update for public K8s? 2, 3, okay. Next one. Last week, more or less, we received the usual quarterly GDK patches. So they start being available on Adoptium. On the infrastructure part, I've created a new issue like the one in January that Stefan managed that will track all the updates of GDKs that we need everywhere. Details on the issue. We have 4 mainline JDK2 updates. The 4 have been patched. Everything is ready to roll except for the controller images because we depend on the on the upstream Jenkins official images, which are currently blocked because S390X and PPC are not available. So that's a subject for platform SIG later today. We are downstream, we follow up. That means the issue will be done on agent side, mostly on the Jenkins infra, and then we will wait. Ideally, we should target using updating the GDK on the main image for the next week, and the LTS that happens the 30th of April. Let's continue that later today on the SIG platform. We have an issue, it's on triage, and we will add it to the upcoming milestone. Thanks, Bruno, for creating the issue about the upcoming GDK 25. I understand correctly that should be the next LTS version that should be released in September this year. Am I correct?
Yeah, end of September. Yeah.
Good. So I see that you already started to do the diagnostics and analysis with Stefan. I saw another incoming issue about improving the detection of the URL using the API.
Indeed.
Makes sense. So yes, that's something we should start working on. That will take a few weeks. I don't think we should expect anything ready until May, but we can start working on it now.
Yeah,
Unless
thanks.
there are an emergency.
No, on my side, there is no emergency. And we started that partly because we are thinking of the Community Plugin Maintainers Initiative. So the paint is still wait. Mark will talk about that much better than I would do, but we are thinking of creating a campaign of updating the 250 most used plugins with JDK 25 by the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken, Mark. So, of course, the first step will be to make JDK 25 available on the Jenkins infra.
Okay. On top of my head, we need to add the JDK in the all-in-one image. All-in-one image. In Jenkins tools,
Mhm.
all controllers.
Okay.
Pipeline library, the
Right.
build plugin and the build groovy. I need to be at least checked and swept just to be sure that we don't have exhaustive lists of JDK. There might be checks or if then or switch cases.
And there's the list also, yes.
Pipeline library. I think these are the only three areas in which we should act on the. I might forget something, but these are the three main one in which we should start working on. So if that's okay, I will comment on the issue and we can start splitting the work and just move away on this one. Is that okay?
Yeah, thanks so much.
Except the JDK 21 runtime comments that I'm gonna follow up with. Are there other comments around the JDK 25? Things to add, things I could have forgotten?
No,
Nope.
let's be sure that we do exactly as you've described. Let's create the ticket and then sub tickets so that we've got them for the next time we do a JDK upgrade. We're going to be
Cool.
doing these every 2 years.
That's fine. That's okay. And just a reminder, it's not mandatory, it's not part of the issue, but it's triggered by this one. If we advance the available JDK LTS in the upcoming months, that means we should start working and worrying on using JDK 21 as default runtime for controller and agents. We have an issue about this, many issue, to be fair. So we are going to move on this one. I think we will resume the JDK 21, if it's okay for everyone, in 2 weeks. Because I will want either Stefan or me to drive it. Maybe eventually we'll need Jay's help, and I'm sure we will need Jay's help. The point is we have many locations and I've detected some areas that we should deprecate and remove to have less things to update. Docker Builder is a Docker image that we should stop using in the upcoming weeks in favor of the all-in-one. This image is used by all the websites, all the website preview generation. So that one is something that is used heavily, but all the tooling should already exist on the all-in-one image. If we remove and deprecate, that's less pipeline library, less builds, less maintenance, and less areas to track. Same with the Docker Windows agent. I have a point in the upcoming announcement on this. So that's why I propose that we take the upcoming 2 weeks to diagnose, let's say, make a map of all these elements so we can prepare issues with details plan so we can perform this end of April, beginning of May. Is that a timeline that looks good to you, Stefan?
Yes, and that will be the good opportunity to use the other project from GitHub instead of the milestone because they have timelines and we can play around. Like that, we will be able to also have those priority and the timelines.
That's a wonderful idea.
But that's really not easy. I tried a little, and that's
Oh, cool.
We have to dive deep.
I didn't know. I was planning to take end of April to start using GitHub project as first to have something the same way we are doing today with the milestones. That could be a good add-on. I'm not sure we will have. I believe we will start working on the JDK 21 and the merges of images before we're able to
Yes,
do the
but
timeline.
they can be useful
But
to try both. But we'll see.
that's a good point. Maybe it's just easy as one checkbox.
I think
True.
we cannot have a 1 week timeline. That's why it's not really
Okay.
great.
So JDK 25, we can start working on it. That will take us a few weeks, and then we will, in parallel, start first mapping and then acting on the JDK 21 as a runtime. Any question on the JDK updates, whether JDK 21, 25, or patches? Okay, cool. Next one, Ubuntu 20.04, aka Focal. I don't know the animal with a F, is being dropped everywhere because this month is the 5 years anniversary, so the LTS is ending. That means no more updates, no more security updates, etc. We have commented we had an issue that I've linked here, which was about the Ubuntu 22.04 campaign. We have Ubuntu 22.04 almost everywhere, except on 2 virtual machines and on the GitHub action runners for release drafter. These are the three parts that might have issues. Why don't we go straight to 22.04? Because it's buggy as hell.
You wrote 2004, 24.
Yes. I mean, 24.04, sorry, is available. It's more recent than 22. So one could wonder, hey, why don't we use the latest available LTS? Because if you use ARM64, curl breaks on that distribution, which is not really good. Like, it's been almost 1 year with these issues. So right now, no need to discuss the opportunities to drop Ubuntu. That's a bit radical. I mean, who will want to use a distribution that's keep bugged with that big for 1 year? Anyway, that means we have to focus our effort on putting 22.04 everywhere, except cases in which curl is not involved. But I would prefer to have the same behavior on the same packages version everywhere, especially because in fact, curl received 2 major updates between 22.04 and 24.04. So the latest curl version in 24.04 provide a lot of new features, a lot of new security advisories, way more than before. So that's why we should be safe playing with 22.04, which is supported until April 2027. Yes, every 2 years, we will have the same problem. Yeah, that's how things work in our area. So 22.04. All of the Jenkins Infra release drafter workflows are failing since 15 April because they use Ubuntu 22.04 and GitHub has dropped support for this, which makes sense, was expected, and that's sane. We need to update them. For that specific use case, release drafter, my proposal is that we specify Ubuntu latest on their runners and we stop caring about pinning versions. Because this is only release drafter, that's a GitHub action. Inside the GitHub action ecosystem, there should be no dependency to curl or the Ubuntu version, and we shouldn't have to update them. That's a bad surprise from last week, but my proposal is, yeah, we don't care about pinning on that part. That's really a edge case. Any objection?
So if we don't pin, that does bring the concerns that you've expressed earlier about unpinned versions. But because it's very narrow scoped release drafter, so just generating draft release notes, the risk is very low.
Absolutely, especially because release drafter provide a GitHub action, which is a kind of GitHub a package in the GitHub action ecosystem. So that package should abstract away that kind of problem.
Okay, so what we can, in this case, we can rely on them that if they were to be affected by the problem that we've seen, they will take action.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, the GitHub action will have both curl and something else and manage.
Okay.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
RM case. And that will be easier for us to maintain. That's typically a case in which pinning has almost no impact, neither positive or negative. So let's use it, less maintenance. I would say something different for update CLI workflows, for instance, even inside GitHub Action. I will pin to Ubuntu 22.04 because we want update CLI to use eventually curl with shell scripts. So I mentioned two virtual machines. One is PKG Origin Jenkins IO running in CloudBees AWS account. That one is still using Ubuntu Bionic. So it's been already 2 years that it's running on a non-updated system. We have work and plan on this one. That's out of the scope of Ubuntu 2004 and Ubuntu 22. However, the Puppet Master machine that Stefan started to work on migrating out from Azure to DigitalOcean, that one is worrying us because Puppet 6 only work and Puppet 7 only work on Ubuntu 20. You cannot run. So either we have many solutions. We could start upgrading to Puppet 8, dropping Puppet and using something else such as Ansible or Chef or Terraform and Packer or whatever paradigm. With Stefan, we had a discussion, and I think Stefan's proposal makes sense. The proposal is let's start with the new Puppet Master that we haven't bootstrapped yet. That's a manual operation to run once. We might want to bootstrap it inside a Docker image instead of running on the host directly. Because Docker images of Ubuntu 2004 will keep existing for years and years and years, even if not receiving updates. That will make things easier because that means we can keep creating virtual machine with a modern operating system on which we shouldn't care about, while temporarily keeping Puppet 6. Time for us to clean up everything, fix our issues with cloud budget in the upcoming 2 or 3 months, and resume work on Puppet during the summer as initially planned.
Yeah, and we will be able to play with the new version with another Docker and switch.
Exactly. We can test, we can back up from the existing Puppet master to a custom-made Docker image that we can then deploy somewhere else. That allows us many scenario, and that avoids us a big bang task that say, hey, let's bootstrap Puppet 8 and then update every agent and every recipes. We will have to do that, either with Ansible or Puppet 8. But still, right now, let's do tiny steps by tiny steps. Are there any objection on Stefan's proposal to use a Docker container for this one? Okay, so the idea is that Stefan and I, once we are ready for the Kubernetes upgrade for this Thursday, we will run a pair learning session, the two of us, trying to bootstrap a container locally. If we can bootstrap a master on our local Vagrant machine with Ubuntu 22 and the container on Ubuntu 20, then we can update the DigitalOcean machine and do the real-life bootstrap and move everything. Most probably, Stefan started that task. We are doing a pair session, so the knowledge is shared, and I will continue this next week, and Stefan will hand over next in 2 weeks, if it's okay. Cool. Other question about around Ubuntu 20, 22 or 20 or updates? Nope. Okay, let's continue. I have a question. Since a few weeks, we have stopped using Windows container for agents on CI Jenkins. This was the only known case of using Windows container images in the infrastructure. My proposal is that now we deprecate the repository gen and the images Docker inbound agents, which initially was a fork from Jenkins CI. I don't want to yell to this repository one more time because this is a hard one. And we forked it in order to have our own images. Since the past 2 years, this repository has only provided Maven and Java images on the 4 main JDK lines with a nano server based container image. Nano server is a teeny and really lightweight Windows Server images. If we deprecate this one, that means archive the repository so it doesn't receive new code with a mention in the README. That means also archiving the images on the Docker Hub So the image will be available, can be pulled, but cannot be written anymore. We have a few images like this one. That also means that we will remove a bunch of code in the pipeline library because the trigger was J, who worked on the build Docker image. And here, as you can see, we have something with word tag, word naming convention, and parallel calls to pipeline library. We had to support that case for years. And by archiving and not supporting this, since we don't use these images anymore, we will greatly simplify the code. So clean up in the pipeline library. Not mentioning less builds on Infra CI, less use of Windows, costly virtual machines, etc., etc.
Yeah, really costly. That one you should emphasize that. That's costly.
Not that much since last autumn, because now they are billed by
Per
minute.
hour, per
Yeah,
minute, yes.
instead of per hour in the past. So per hour was really costly. But still, less build means less credits to spend. I don't see from the top of my head other use cases. So that's why I'm asking the question here. Do you see other use cases of these images, the Windows container images?
The number of download for the image that we saw in the little picture is
Don't
accurate
get
or no? It's okay.
don't get me started on this.
I mean, 95 millions download. I'm worrying if we are the only one using it, should be so high.
Half is us. We only have half, but that's still a lot, yeah.
Okay.
But if it's really useful, somebody will yell. So we should know who uses that.
And if they yell, we can tell them,
Or not.
too bad,
Yeah.
too bad.
Have fun.
Even if they yell, sorry, even if
Yeah.
they yell, no, yeah.
Deal with it.
Or use a real sustainable tool that is not built by someone without a README, without even a README. So
And
any
it's open
objection if
source and they
we
got the
work?
code, they can do it by themselves if they want.
Absolutely. I agree with Stefan. They can build it and run it and host it on their own. Since there are no objection, I will create an issue for the current milestone just to track things, just to explain the decision and track the task that will remove things everywhere. Just a quick point, CI Jenkins IO runs since now almost 2 weeks in Azure. We have a specific milestone that will be closed. We have a few issues that we need to check related to ACP, and I don't remember why. There are 2 or 3 issues, so I'm gonna check on this later. That's part of this week milestone. Mark and Stefan, I saw there has been a restart on CI Jenkins IO last week because the bomb builds were blocked. Agents weren't allocated, and Mark, you had to restart the controller in order to bomb agent being allocated again.
During the weekend, but he forgot.
Yes,
It was 10 days ago.
that was just, thank you. That was a very, very long time ago. I don't know why you're
Okay.
talking about ancient history. Yeah. So I did a bunch of investigation. I read log files. I tried to be ever so diligent and finally decided, okay, based on all of that research, it's time to restart ci.jenkins.io, and it completed the bomb builds. So
Okay.
it was apparently some local condition or some temporary condition that the restart resolved, and pipeline's durability feature allowed the bomb build to continue to success. So
Okay, cool.
very nice.
So that means it's resilient. Next time you see that, can you take a support archive? I forget to do it. That problem happens almost every 2 weeks.
I'm not sure how to take a support archive, but so is that
I think support snapshot is an item on the controller when you're logged in. Let me log in on the screen. Can you see my screen?
I can, and you
Okay.
don't even need to log in. I can certainly go check for myself. So
And I think we have support bundle is on the manage Jenkins page. Support bundle. Where is it? Oh, the item is not there anymore.
yeah, I wasn't sure that we had support core on this installation anymore.
I took a support bundle less than 1 month ago before in AWS. So, okay, I need to check. So, okay, if you can just have a look at the thread dump, then Mark, it's just that so we can give some food to eat to the Kubernetes plugin maintainers, because there is clearly an issue on the bomb builds that comes and exists since months. So it's just, I'm gonna take care of adding, we need support bundle. Is plugin still there? But the idea is to provide data to the person that will diagnose this problem. There is a race condition somewhere in the Kubernetes plugin system that locked all the threads when you are under a lot of requests. My guess is because we use quota on client sides. And so the quota rate limit is complicated on concurrent system when you have concurrent threads. I had the discussion with Vincent Latombe. He has the same kind of gut feeling. We need to confirm, but without a thread dump or a support bundle, that's hard to diagnose because it's hard to reproduce.
Okay, and support core is not installed on ci.jenkins.io.
Okay, I think it's the cleanup I made when moving back to Azure.
Yeah, and
So I need to add it back.
I can take a
Thanks.
thread dump if it ever happens again. I think I can drop list threads from, where is it? There is a place to show the threads if I remember right. System information, thread dumps. Yes. Okay.
No worries. I will add a note, and so everyone knows now that we need to add back support bundle. If the problem happen, so meaning after 2 or 3 hours, we are still having the same amount of waiting pipeline stages on the queue. First, take a support bundle, then restart the controller, and that should solve the problem.
Great.
On the billing side, everything looks good. We have consumed $3 in Amazon since the past 10 days. And yeah, everything has been cleaned up drastically. And we see consumption on Azure sponsorship. Yes, Mark?
So we also have received, or at least I've received, I'm not sure if others have, a note from Amazon inviting us to apply to
Oh, yes.
for further sponsorship. So Damien, I'll work with you, I assume, to review the document, answer their questions, etc. So this is really good timing because Mila Zhao of AWS will be at Open Source Summit North America in June, and this application is due to them by May 9th. So we
Okay.
very much want to get to do the best possible job we can on answering on their questions and show them how valuable it would be if they were to donate additional to the Jenkins project.
Absolutely. Thanks for the reminder, Mark. I saw the email during my
Oh,
holidays.
you also received it.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, that's good to hear.
That's all for CI and the billing. One last thing, I've created a new section that's for informational for now, but at least I will try to keep that section on upcoming meetings. It's a section related to the software update campaigns, because we have some, let's say, dormant pull requests spread everywhere and not always tracked by an issue on help desk. So we have the GDK patches because that's a big one. However, we have a few to perform, and I will want to have this information tracked somewhere. And Nginx ingress is right now pinned to 4.11. Last tentative to upgrade to 4.12 was not successful. Since we have a Kubernetes upgrade, maybe we can group or not, depends. But that one needs to be known. One that will be huge but very welcome is Mirrorbit. They have received a release, the first one in the past 6 years. So, spoiler alert, they don't use semantic versioning.
Yeah,
So, so
I was
please
about to
don't
say
think
that.
that 05 to 06 is a short one.
For
The change,
information, I locked the CLI pull request for people not to think it's an easy one and go merge. So I locked it.
yeah, thanks, Stefan, because clearly the change log is huge. They've changed 80% of the line of code between two versions. So yeah, but a
We need to
lot
have
of changes.
we need to have to create a staging environment and try that on that. If we don't want to kill everything.
do not agree on this one
Oh,
because we accept the staging environments need real life data and
yeah.
real life user. Otherwise, you cannot test the
Oh.
behavior. Yep.
So we try on production. Okay. That's
Absolutely.
good.
We are
Can you do that next week? I'm not here.
we have enough tests in which that we can say, oh, can we build a new image and can we
Yeah.
start the image with the Helm chart? That can be considered staging. Yes, Mark?
But is there anything compelling us to do that upgrade in the short term? I've got things that are
Nothing in the short term.
okay, good. I've got things that are
We all
very
agree.
interesting to me, like getting stats.jenkins.io to update again, all sorts of things like that. That
Mhm.
upgrading mirror bits is just not even on my list.
Mm, it depends.
Okay, all right.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
we can get new feature and more bug-free stuff. That can be
So
interesting.
the
And ASCOD.
key let's say the key point here will be how do we deal with the end of the Azure sponsorship, because we host many Redis instances in the Azure sponsorship part. These Redis instances will need to move back to the normal Azure CDF paid thing. If we cannot have more credit by Microsoft, that means we will need to shrink the spends on Azure CDF. The new MirrorBits version adds elements that allow us to drastically decrease the usage in bandwidth and Redis usage.
Okay, all right. That sounds like a compelling feature. Good. All right. Thank you. That's fine. I was envisioning no compelling feature. That
Uh,
sounds very good.
Absolutely. That's why I've started that part, because these things are most of the time inside Stefan or mine brain. And I think having that incoming software update campaign section in the notes every week will allow us and compel us to write that knowledge in issues. Then we can plan the issues based on the importance. But that question absolutely shows that we need to write these things down when we saw them. Thanks, Mark. A quick one, a minor version of Docker engine will be delivered in the next Packer image version along with GDKs and will be applied on the other productions this week later. Just informational. Another one that should be easy, but that require just a bit of care at the beginning, but it's not complicated or time cost one. ASDF, we are using 0.15 everywhere. 0.16, despite its minor increase, did introduce breaking changes. There are not a lot, but that require changing the way bash profile and environment of the shell work on the agents. Just something to know, Stefan and I suffered before fixing our machines. Now we know the problems. We know that we have to read carefully because both of us did the same mistake. So both of us need to read again the notes, the upgrade notes, apply this to Docker Builder and all-in-one image, deploy it to production, and we're done.
Let's remove Docker Builder first.
Yes, but we have to do it in Packer image in any
Yeah.
case. So whether or not,
Oh, we try
that's
Docker
very good.
Builder and then we
Yeah.
remove it. Okay.
Depends. Yeah. We will have GQ 1.7 for later and Chocolatey 2.x. Just a note that we will need to update these ones. That's all. This was a long announcement section. Sorry for that, folks. Upcoming calendar, unless you have other announcements. Nope. Okay. Next week, we will have a new weekly release. 29 April, we will have 2.508. Nothing exceptional. The next day, Wednesday, we will have a new LTS line that will start, 2.504.1. Kristen is the release lead, so that will be Wednesday. Hopefully, we will have the new GDK version on both these new versions. We don't have any incoming security releases. A few days ago, we had a Docker SSH agent image security release. The Jenkins Infra is not impacted. We don't use it. About the upcoming credential expiration. Next week, the token used by the repository permission updater will be will be expired. Only Daniel, Darren, and I have the access on Artifactory to renew it. So I will take care of this as soon as possible, especially because when it will expire, that will be a LTS release day. We don't want a credential expiring during a LTS release. So ideally, we'll try to change it later today or tomorrow in advance. The 10 May, we have an Azure AD application password that will expire on Trusted CI. Hopefully, Stefan already fixed the exact same credential on Third CI by using what we call a workload identity, which is a credential-less authentication. No more credential, no more risk, no more rotation and expiration. So now we have an issue. We need to do the same for trusted, at least for the Azure VM agents. The Let's Encrypt part is another one. So ideally, we shouldn't have to merge that pull request and care anymore.
I would like to take that one. No, the
Yep. The trusted,
sorry, workload one.
no problem. You can proceed as soon as possible on trusted CI, only that part, and the Let's Encrypt, we'll see the two of us.
Yes.
Good for you? Oh, you can
Yes,
take it, I
perfect.
don't mind, but first, let's deliver this one.
Yes.
And in May 12, we will have two credentials that will expire. I propose that we don't care for this one on the upcoming 2 weeks because it's long in the future. And we don't have next major events. Anything else on the upcoming calendar?
In June, the meeting? No?
In
You
June?
talk about a meeting, Mark, in June.
Yeah, it's not an infra. That's well, maybe it's not really an
Okay.
infra event. So we haven't listed it before. Open Source
Sorry.
Summit North America is in
Source.
June. Open Source Summit Europe is in August in Amsterdam.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, good reminder. Cloud budgets. Azure CDF is doing good. We have a forecast at 4.1. Our threshold is 4.5. We are under the boundaries, so we are good to go for now. We are resuming the work on decreasing that amount in the upcoming 2 or 3 months, but right now nothing visible. On the sponsorship account, we see an increase as expected. Yes, clearly we move CI Jenkins IO. It's using credits, and we have 36,000 credits until end of May. That's what we want. Everything is doing good here. Digital Ocean is also under boundaries. We saw a slight increase because we have created a new virtual machine in it, so clearly that consumes a bit of credits. We still have 14K credits until end of year, so we are fine. AWS on CloudBees port is, as usual, same order of magnitude. And we have only consumed a few, no, I said 3, no, it's a bit more. But we have consumed a few credits, but almost nothing, because we removed almost everything on that account until end of May. So we had 36K credits, modulo the date in which the credit and bill are applied, which is not always up to date on the billing page. So what we have is 4 to 5 months running CI Jenkins IO on that account, and the credit expire really, really late in the future. So we're good. On JFrog, we saw a decrease last Wednesday. So I guess Darren did a manual cleanup. We are back at 3.76 terabytes. I remember we were almost at 4 1 week ago. The G-Center cleanup might help us on having a sustainable usage here. Both Darren and you, Mark, had the backup, so I think we should start planning to proceed.
Right. I have backups to 2 drives in my local environment, plus to my network attached storage with its RAID 50, whatever configuration it has. And Darren has multiple copies as well. So, and we think we don't need any of them.
That's
As far
cool.
as we can tell, we don't need any of them. But yeah, I'll discuss that with Darren a little further to be sure before he Are you okay, Damien, if he deletes the JCenter cache completely without you, or do you want to do that with him?
I don't mind him doing that. Just let us know 24 hours in advance. So if we start seeing build failures or support requests, we know that it could be related to that, especially on ACP.
Okay.
That's the only requirement of 1 day notice for us, and the rest we can proceed at the best convenience for the two of you. Thanks. On the bandwidth usage, we are using less than past month, which is good. The forecast is now at 27 terabyte, so that's good. Removal of G-Center shouldn't change that value. However, we are within acceptable boundaries for now, unless you receive the news from GFrog, Mark.
Yeah, I now have to talk to Melissa McKay. She had said she was going to talk to me last week or the week before, but she and I've got to talk further to be sure. We're also giving a speech at Open Source Summit North America together, so we have to talk for that reason as well.
Congrats. Don't forget to plant the seed about mirror bits technique that we use for our own bandwidth. I'm sure we can make something of that. Okay, that's all for the cloud budget. Any question, things to add? Okay, thanks for your patience. So let's have a quick sweep. We closed an issue in the last milestone about a user who used mirrors.jenkins.io to get update center metadata. We deleted this metadata 1 month ago. It should not have been used by users since the past 8 years. So that was accidentally present on mirrors, and that we can be and might be deleted by any mirrors at any time without notice. So if you have a problem with mirror Jenkins.io, it's because you are using a configuration on your Jenkins controller or scripts, which is more than 8 years old. Please use https update.jenkins.io, which is the default value on Jenkins core. Yes, Mark?
So this is that issue where the user was using stable, or this is a different one? I guess I can look some.
No. It's because they used the wrong host name that was sending them to get Jenkins.io and the usual mirrors, not ours.
Right. Thanks.
On the work in progress, we have a support issue open about user in Belarus, which are redirected by mirror bits to Aachen University, in where we have a mirror. They have 2 mirrors close to them in Romania and Russia, but both of these mirrors are marked as country only. Since their IPs are detected in Belarus and not in Romania or Russia, they are sent to the 3rd closest mirror, which is in Germany. Looks like that Belarus has the same issue as Russia. Almost all ISP are blocking the IPs of the Aachen University, so they get timeout on their Jenkins. I haven't asked them if they are willing to provide a mirror in Belarus yet, but first I've asked them, can they reach either the Romanian or the Russian mirrors? Because on short term, we could unblock them by allowing these country-only mirrors. I believe we can add a list of countries in which they are restricted. So we could extend either the Russian, because Yandex has way more bandwidth available than our Romanian Ostico, but that could give us a short-term fix for them. The long term is if they want to use Jenkins, they should allow us to support by providing a mirror on their own country. By the way, there is a feature in MirrorBits 06, the new version. It looks, I'm almost sure I saw anti-affinity. Something that could say, if you are from that list of country, do not use that mirror. If that one has landed, that could be really useful because we could that could solve here. We could say, hey, please don't use Germany if you are in Belarus. So let's wait for feedback from them and we will see what we can do to help them. Any question? Next one, Chinese Jenkins site, incorrect site redirection. There are 2 issues hidden here. First, the redirection errors exist in years. I believe Tim pointed out some elements. Second, Stefan started to work and prepare the Netlify build for the China website, because we need to provide a copy of the existing one in a location in which the contributor will be able to iterate quickly until they reach a good enough new version that we can start to deliver again on our infrastructure. So this one is not top priority unless someone objects. So I propose we delay it to in 2 weeks. Delaying to May. Okay. Same for the new weekly CI Jenkins IO virtual machine in DigitalOcean. Stefan, you started to work on it. I don't see any reason for us to rush into this. And Stefan, you can resume work on me or Jay in 2 weeks. Is that okay for everyone? Same for the infrastat resume. I still need to send a message to Andrew now, but I haven't had time to spend on it. Mark, I know it starts to be really important for you, so that's why I'm mentioning a message to Andrew should allow us to resume things. Okay, on the keep platform up to date and in good shape. I see Jay still have issue internet, so I will try to resume. Stefan, you stop me if I say something wrong or if you need to add something.
No,
Unless you
I
want
will
to
stop you
explain.
all the time, so I will let you speak.
So last week, Jay was able to fix the GitHub rate limit issues we had, as Stefan explained last week. He's working now on all of the Docker images of the infra to have 2 distinct pipelines, one for building and releasing the image, and one for update CLI to track dependencies. He's taking over a work that Hervé Lemeur started 2 years ago that we left unchecked in the past 2 years. And we are working on, first, the pipeline library has been changed by Jay. So there were, of course, we have a lot of edge cases. Plugin ill score, for instance, was using a different release pattern than our usual images, and we forgot about that edge case. As soon as Stefan and Jay were able to pick that missing points, a fix has been added and the release happened as expected. But now we need to finish. That fix was a quick one because you were overloaded. So Jay need to work on adding unit tests in order to ensure we have non-regression in the future about that fix.
And I would like to thank Adrian because it was really useful and helpful, and he was waiting for us, and he didn't pressure us, and it was really nice. Thank you, Adrian.
Al Sharp. I think that's his handle. Before closing that issue, we also have, I discover a few regression on Jay's work, in the sense that we had an all-in-one pipeline library that was merging both update CLI and Docker builds, and it was implicitly enabling automatic semantic versioning. By moving to the new library with updates, we have lost that ability on most of our images. It's just a boolean to set back to true, because by default it's false. And Jay had an interesting proposal. Should we turn it on by default? Yes, that is a breaking change, but it's up to us to sweep all the usages we have in our GitHub repo and disable the few cases in which we don't want that. Because automatic semantic version is the default behavior for almost all of our images except PHS. The Docker Windows images I propose to archive, and I think there is a third one. So that totally makes sense. I agree with Jay. I told him we should delay that choice. The regression here is the right trigger to say, oh, let's fix the regression by changing the default behavior. Finally, we need to remove the whole library, the all-in-one library I just mentioned. It's not used, or it shouldn't be. If it's still used, then we should burn the things with fire and finish moving to the new one. And that's also a good opportunity for us, since we are sweeping all the images to, for each one, integrate Hervé's changes, because Jay took over the split pipelines part, but Hervé created pull requests with other changes that are still useful. So for each one, once Jace has integrated this change, we can update, fix conflict, and review and approve Hervé's changes, which are minor ones. Any question? So let's continue that work. Thanks, Jay, for the impressive work. Thanks, Stefan and Adrian, for the support and mentoring on that area. Really cool.
We agree that we choose to pin to latest for the release draft of failing job. So
Yes.
you choose.
And Ubuntu.
Boom. Latest.
Thanks. Good point. Ooh. For failing GH workflows. So we don't mix topics. So Kubernetes 1.31. This Thursday we have public gates. Question, shall we upgrade private gates? Initially, we said we create a new cluster private gates in the sponsorship area.
But you did.
It's still work in progress. Yes, but it's not used in production, so it's not done.
No. Okay. But there is a new one. Okay.
So it's not finished. When will it be used in production? I don't know. You are off next week. And your question about should we use private gates as a test before public gates made me think, okay, maybe we are doing the what's the name? Creepy scope or something. We have a scope which is too big. So does it make sense? And what do you think, Stefan, about upgrading private gates tomorrow just to warm us up before Thursday for public?
As you wish. You can do it. It's
I
okay.
know that it depends on your workload, because if it's too much, we can accept that private is not upgraded.
No, let's if everything is working, fluently,
Mhm.
it should be 1 hour of work. So we can do that.
Fair point. I haven't considered that angle, but yeah, makes sense. So let me know, since you will be the one leading the public gates, which one makes you feel safer?
Yeah, private.
Okay. Oh, I've lost the ability to write things. That's
You want me
insane.
to write?
I'm just reloading the page. That should be good enough. Okay, so tomorrow, private gates. Good.
Okay.
Yes, tomorrow. We don't have anything tomorrow. Good. Workload identity. So we are adding trusted. So that means the Let's Encrypt part is delayed until we have more time. Is that okay for you, Stefan?
If it can wait 2 weeks, yeah, I think it is. It can.
Cool. So we'll delay in 2 weeks. Good for you? Any question? Okay. The apt updates failing due to Puppet GPG key fails. That means we should start installing Puppet 6 agent package from our own. Damien to resume work this week. Nothing else to add. Nothing was done since the past 2 weeks on this topic. So migration of the clusters to new settings and sponsorship. We just mentioned we will resume work on this one. And I delayed to make the Cloudflare Terraform because the test I ran earlier, we still have bugs on Cloudflare Terraform provider. So we are sticking to the 4.something version that is working as expected with no issue. And we will see later if we still need to update when they will release the 5.4.0 plan for next week. So delayed until May. On the area of the cloud usage billing, the new Puppet Master, we mentioned it. So Docker images solution from Stefan and the private guest cluster in the sponsored area. So we spend sponsored credits until end of May, and then we move it back somewhere else. Now on the new issues, we will add to the next milestone. We are going to start working on the JDK patch upgrade campaign. We have the issue, we have a bunch of pull requests open, so we just have to merge them and deliver them. GDK 25, you already started working and opening issues. So for me, it should be on the next milestone, unless someone objects.
The
We won't
first
be able
one,
to finish it. Sorry?
the first one will be to enhance our update CLI to use the API because that GK25 is
Mhm.
early access only for now.
Yep, makes sense. That's the next issue, by the way, that you created. Thanks for tracking it. First step, as you
Thanks,
mentioned.
Bruno.
Trusted workload identity at Esmer on the agent part. Same as cert.ci. LE is delayed in May. Is that correct,
We have
Stefano?
a tracking of the date for the certificate somewhere to make sure that we can wait.
The certificate, I
And
don't.
because Let's Encrypt is it's the token that allow Let's Encrypt to create the CNAME, the
DNS
register,
record?
DNS record for the test. So it means
No,
that we
not for the test, for the
might
challenge.
for the challenge. I call that test the challenge. But we need that test, that challenge within 2 weeks? No, I don't think so.
We don't care, it's automated. When we change a setting, we run a dry run and it will create DNS record with staging without delivering the certificate. But the challenge always run even on dry run.
No, I mean that if we don't take care of changing the Let's Encrypt part
Mhm.
of the workload identity, and we still use the
The credential,
credential, if the credential expire within the timeline of 2 weeks,
it
it
won't. It has been. We have an automated. You put in place an automated update CLI with pull request, and you changed it last week in
okay.
Puppet.
Last
So
week?
last month, sorry.
Okay.
Words are complicated.
Yeah, but I'm old, I forgot. Okay.
Me too. But yeah, no worries on this one.
Great. Course done. Can't wait.
So runtime Java 21 instead of 17. I need to detail some paths on this one, especially dropping builders and other images. So that will be delayed as usual. Same for all the on-triage issues. Delaying. Are there any other questions or issue you want us to discuss, to point out, given how much we have? Nope, no more question, folks.
No.
Okay, thanks for your patience. Thanks for being there. I'm gonna publish that and let's go back to normal work. I'm
Thank
only
you.
8 minutes late.
Yeah, yeah. Mark was out before.
Yeah,
He too much.
manage your life. I prefer my life, clearly. Matter of taste. Okay, I'm gonna stop screen sharing. I'm gonna stop recording. So for people watching us on the recording, see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.